we can find in UAE belongs to Abu Dhabi, not to Dubai. However, the actions Dubai developed in order to go further with the dream they have to develop a new country has been strong enough as to create and to gather those investments that they need for the development of the country itself. They create infrastructures, talking about metro, new airports. They develop a new exhibition halls. They have been developing different areas inside of the country itself, inside of the city. Before we used to talk about data in Bur Dubai, which are more or less the two old areas, not talk about historical, or let's say historical areas, but no from the point of view that we understand in Europe or in other countries where we have huge history. In that sense, Dubai and Bur Dubai were like the old part of the city, and they need to create new actions and develop new projects to make the city much more comfortable from the point of view of the people, inhabitants, and to be able to bring from outside not only investment, but also people that could support all those kind of projects they wanted to go for, okay? For your reference, UAE is composed by 7 different emirates. In many cases, what is happening is that when we talk about emirates, or when we talk about the GCC countries, some kind of confusion is being created, just mixing that Abu Dhabi is one of the emirates inside of the emirates itself. And then we do have as well Dubai, we do have Sharjah, Asman, Al Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah, and Fujairah. In total, we are talking about seven different emirates inside of the Union of the United Arab Emirates, and then altogether belongs to the GCC countries. Saying that, the development of the country has been always led by Dubai, from the point of view of the expertise and from the point of view of the creativity they have sold to the world and to the rest of the Emirates in order to create a new place, a new hub that will be the leading one for the future of the area, okay? Dubai should be shown not only as one emirate, should be shown as the bridge for many places, not only in UAE, but also in GCC and all around the world. When we talk about the exhibitions that are happening in Dubai, we see that are just the biggest ones in many cases. If we talk about food, for instance, Gulf food is joining together, is playing, fighting together with Sial, with other huge exhibitions around the world. All the countries, all the main actors in different sectors, they want to be present in Dubai, showing their products, visiting the exhibitions, and trying to create collaboration and links with the partners they could have inside of the country, okay? And I am talking about all sectors. I know that we are now referring to the lighting, but it's not talking only about lighting. We are talking about all sectors. Dubai, since 2003, 2002, has been developed a huge investment in industry, in partnership with foreign companies in order to create metallurgy, siderurgy, any kind of foundations as well, okay? So it's very important to know that they are trying to create that the DPG could be bringing or could be created by all the sectors in the country. Even agriculture sector is one of the ones they are frightened with, because they have passed in 7 to 8 years from 0.2 to near 2% of the DGP, okay? So that means that the investment they are doing are really huge, and they are they have been joining and creating collaboration with European, North American, all around the world countries, kind of partnerships in order to create and to develop those sectors that for them could be the most interested one. Talking about, you can go a little bit further on the presentation, please. Talking about some data, the population nowadays in Dubai is near 10 million, not in Dubai, sorry, in UAE. Dubai being the first one, bigger than Abu Dhabi, even though the landscape of Abu Dhabi is the biggest one within the UAE and related to Dubai. We're talking about 10 million people. From them, near 5 million people are living in Dubai. When I reached to Dubai in 2003, I saw that the population there was 2.9 million. So we are talking that from that time till 2021, 20 in that case, the last data we have is related to 220. We have 3 times the total amount of population there. And talking about the inhabitants as well, we can see that we have 203 different kind of countries related to the development of the history of Dubai, in that case, of the UAE. The main idea when they began to create Dubai, this is one picture that shows very well the kind of city we are talking about. I used to say that if I jump from a plane and with my eyes blinded, and then I reach the land, I will never say that I am in Dubai. I could rather say that I am in United States, I mean, in another country, because you can see plenty of gardens all around. You can see that the construction, the buildings are last technology. They have the last technology, and it's impressive to see that. Okay, so how is possible that such a country, coming from the history they have, coming from the desert, then they reach in so a very, very short period of time to be one of the leading ones around the world? And how is possible that they have got all the population in all the countries around the world coming to invest and to create together with them the new country and the new and establish like a new dimension of the commerce itself? You can see that in Dubai we can have the main stream of the rivers, the mainstream of the commerce for all the world. Dubai, together with the GCC, has created this kind of relation for importing and exporting and re-exporting. By the time that we will see later that KSA is only importing for the internal or inner needs they have in the market. However, we can see that in UAE, what they do is just importing for the inner needs, but at the same time, re-exporting for many other countries. That means that that company that want to have something to say, not only in UAE, in the GCC, but also all the MENA countries and Far East, should be related somehow with UAE. I have known many countries or many projects that have been developed in Morocco, in Nigeria, or in Angola, and the main steps have been done directly in UAE. The main collaborators, the synergy were created directly in UAE. And this is why most of the leading companies in different sectors make the decision to have like a position in Dubai. Dubai, apart from having the country, the land for those companies that want to invest directly inside of the country, Dubai has been very clever and has created more than 40 different free zones inside of the country. That means when we talk about free zones, we are talking about the possibility to have your own company. Still, you need a dealer, distributor, or partner in order to introduce your product inside of the country. However, the possibility to be there at the free zone is giving you the option to develop business not only in UAE, but all around the GCC and also outside of the country. The free zones are given huge opportunities, but for very few money. You can have your company for 2-3 years trying to check if your product services you can provide to the market are the ones that they are looking for. It is need to have some kind of added value and to present added value to the market, because on the contrary, as the market is gathering so many companies and countries around the world, you will be but a number related to any kind of product. So you have to be smart enough as to present your product in different way with added value, teaching, coaching, going together to the market with the dealer you can have there, or many other aspects that you could think in your creativeness for the development of your commerce, okay? One important thing the region has is that when they create the GCC in 1981, they made the decision to create also one market. That means that if you sell one product to Dubai or to UAE, and then that product is re-exported to Oman, to KSA, or any of the 6 countries belonging to the GCC, you only have to pay for the transport because they have free access to the other countries. This is happening exactly the same if you sell to KSA and someone from KSA is selling to Dubai or to Oman. That means there is an interaction free of charge for the taxes they have to pay. They pay just once, and then the product can be forwarded all around or spread up all around the GCC countries. As I am talking and not following directly the presentation, as you can see, I want to check a little bit and just saying that if we talk about the main sectors of interest for foreigners and also for the government, because the government has created a vision 2030, they have had Expo 2020, they have had previous visions 2005 to 2015, and now they have created 2030, thinking that after Expo 2020, what is going to happen with the market? Okay, I know and I remember very well that when I reached there in Dubai, I thought, okay, they are building that much amount of buildings in different ways. They have created Dubai Marina, JLT, and they have created Barça, they have created a new downtown, that incredible buildings, 100 stage. And you think, how is that possible? If we are talking about 5 million in UAE, who is going to be living in there, you know, because it is true that in 2019 and 2020, mostly in 2020, what happened is that many foreigners, many expats made the decision to leave the country and to go back to the countries they came from. Why? Because the crisis was there as well, and then to live in Dubai is very expensive. It's not as easy as it looks like, you know. So you have to spend a lot of money. You have an office. You have to pay also a lot of money. And it's like, okay, who is going to be supporting all these expenses for me? You know, you have to go for that. So, but which is true is that the government has been very clever, just creating all the time new stages and new goals for the next years. Okay, 2020 was the year for the expo. The expo, at the end of the day, due to the pandemic, it was not developed. They finished the project, but the project was closed and nobody could go there in order to visit. Nowadays, it's possible to visit step by step. They create a huge marketing around the world, and they create opportunities, they create a dimension for the country. They were expecting to have more than 20 million visitors for the Expo 2020, and nowadays we don't really know what is going to happen. The Expo was transferred till October 2021. That means this year in October will begin till April 2022. The matter is that, and then what is next? Because the Expo will be finished. But if you look around the country, you see that driving from north to south or east to west, you can see how infrastructure are still growing up, spreading up. You can see many highways. You can see many buildings coming from one part to the other, and new areas for social interaction. The next step, Vision 2030, wants to bring like a compendium of all the needs they saw during the past. They want to implement new actions for the people living in the country. They want to go for new dimension of the real dream Mr. Sayed or Sheikh Zayed had when he created the Emirates, okay? It's like having a country to believe, a country that should be the center of the world, a country that instead of having desert, they will have forests. And then this is something that we will see with this 2030 project in UAE. If we talk about projects, if we talk about construction, if we talk about many opportunities from an industrial point of view or any other, we can see that interior design, lighting, smart lighting, domotic are coming together. It is need to have all these kind of products, services to give support to the needs they are going to face. I know that in that sense, Yaya will talk a little bit more and deep about that situation because he knows very well the real situation the lighting sector is living in KSA and also in UAE, okay? So as far as I want to talk about for Dubai, more or less I have been trying to create like a frame of whatever is happening there in Dubai, talking about real details, numbers and like that is included in the presentation, and I suggest you to read later on, okay? I am going to move further now to KSA to explain a little bit more and to explain you which is the real difference between UAE and KSA in terms not only of commerce, but also in terms of country and the way they are looking at the future, okay? If we look at the, I should say sorry because I've been talking about UAE vision for 2030, but it's the vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia, and in UAE is the vision 2040, okay? I just interchanged the data. Talking about Saudi Arabia, we are talking about a huge country that is bordered or surrounded by many other countries in the Gulf area. We can see that there is the Red Sea by one side, we have the Gulf, the Persian Gulf by the other, Yemen, Oman, and more in the Indic area, and then Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Qatar, and Bahrain, in total 7 countries that are surrounded. The population is near 34 million people, and being so big, we do also have different big cities inside: Jeddah, Dammam, Medina, Makkah, or Riyadh, which is the capital, okay? If we look at the differences between UAE and Saudi Arabia, we can see that Saudi Arabia has been developing their business more from an inner point of view. Dubai has always been thinking, okay, I want to be here, but I want to spread up. I want to be the hub for the world. Saudi Arabia said, okay, I am first one in production of petrol, second or third in gas, and I want to develop my own country, and I want to implement this kind of relations with my population, inside population, and also with the Muslims that could be interested in coming to the country to pay a visit to Medina or to Mecca or whatever. The difference is the way they open to the world. UAE has opened to the world, and he has been developing their own business and their own country from an international point of view, from a European, let's say, European point of view. Saudi Arabia, on the contrary, they made the decision to create the development of the country looking and thinking on their own politics, religion, and just not opening mind. This happened till 2 years ago. Last year, we saw that the new princess is trying to create a new dimension of the country. He thinks that he can also be like a kind of partner for the GCC in developing the area. They want to create also their own. They don't have free zones. In Saudi Arabia, you can see free zones. All the companies that are interested in coming to Saudi Arabia, they want to go directly with a local partner, 5149. In the same way that you go to Dubai to local partner, inside of the country is 5149. But in Saudi Arabia didn't develop free zones. They made the decision to go more for industrial area, trying to convince investors from outside to create those business and to develop business inside of the country, being partners and going further on the construction of the or reconstruction of the country. In that case, Saudi Arabia create one or began to think about a new position, a new dimension in front of whatever is happening in the world. He is always in front of Iran, because Iran is also one of the huge producers of petrol, and also they do have gas. So they are always fighting one each other. That's why Saudi Arabia is anytime trying to convince the GCC that they should come together and they should be in front of Iran in order not to lose the open position they have for selling the petrol, okay? However, till now, the project Saudi Arabia was involved in, the projects were much more less than the ones UAE was facing for many years. However, since like 5 to 7, 8 years, they made the decision to implement new projects and to create also new areas with the last technology in IT technology, in lighting, in construction, in materials, avoiding somehow everything that was before coming from China and trying to create a new dimension. Before they used to look only at the price, as they did as well in UAE. But talking about image, talking about design, talking about quality of the product, certifications, they began to implement new actions in doing so. And one of the real situations they are living nowadays for the future of the market is that Saudi Arabia has to face the new laws they have to implement to create this kind of relationship for the projects. The project, when they look at the project, they look at the project as one. Everything is related. Everything is interrelated with one each other. And you can talk about lighting without talking about design, talking about many other aspects. So they are changing some laws. They are checking the ones they had before, trying to create the ones that should be leading the future of the development of the country, okay? I said that they do not have free zones, but which is true is that inside of Saudi Arabia, they divide the country into 13 different areas in which you can see different products or different investments coming from one to the other. There is an area related to the production of food, as we do have in Almeria, in the south of Spain. There are areas already focused more on petrol, gas. There are many other areas related to the implementation of the production of steel and many other products. What I mean is that they try to create in different regions to make the growth of the country being equiparable one each other, being balanced somehow. It is true that that Riyadh, Jeddah, Daman, Huail, there are the main ones always in face because they were the first ones in being developed. But it is true that the Crown Prince nowadays is trying to spread up the different opportunities in order to grow up together and to give more or less the same opportunities to the different regions and to the population of the country. One of the biggest problems Saudi Arabia has, and it looks like began or had, let's see, because nowadays with the new vision for 2030, what is happening is that they want to have like an implementation of the real dimension the human being has to have for the future. They know that, or you all know that women in Saudi Arabia, they don't have the rights the man has. It is true. Till 5-6 months ago, they couldn't even drive, they couldn't even vote, they couldn't even take out the mask, they couldn't. The wife, the ladies there, the women there was like a black point. And it's black also talking about the way they are wearing, okay? Nowadays, the dimension Saudi Arabia, the dimension the princess has begun to work with is trying to create a more European vision of Saudi Arabia. Till last year, no tourism could go there. Most of the time, if you wanted to go there because of business, you need an invitation letter for the companies. And even once you reach there, if the person at the customs said, no, they are not allowed to come in, even with the invitation letter, even with the visa already issued from the embassy of every country, even that you have to talk back to take back the flight and go back to your country, because depending of the person at the customs. Nowadays, this has changed quite a lot. Okay, now you can go for tourism. Women can travel without any kind of problem. The women inside of the country, they can drive. There are many places where the women do not need to wear even the black scarf on the head. Many things are happening, but also what is happening is the change of the mentality in order to look at the future. Saudi Arabia wants to be part of the hub, and they want to learn about, or they have been looking at UAE to see how the situation in UAE, in Dubai, was being developing in order to implement some of those aspects inside of the country. It is true that the very first tourism they created was related to the Muslim people, to the holy places. But nowadays they changed. They have already selected different areas, Neom, Kidaya, which are like tourism parts where they are going to develop like a new Europe. Even one of those places, Almala, is being named like Ribera Mexicana in that case. Why? Because they want to implement luxury hotels, luxury restaurants. They want to go for the best opportunities for the tourism in order to bring those rich people inside of the country. We can't forget that Saudi Arabia is but a collapse of rich people. You know, if you look around, if you look at the local people inside, you will see that all of them have plenty money. All of them have plenty of opportunities. They have many properties outside of the country. Saudi Arabia is present in Spain, is present in UAE, is present in Morocco, is present in United Kingdom, in France, in Germany. Why? Because they have the money to go for that. And now what they really want is bringing money from outside, bringing investors from outside in order to implement those kind of business. Related to the way they act with the market, more or less they work exactly the same in all the GCC countries. They look for bringing companies, import products. They want to create partnerships with foreign companies, and at the same time, if they go for marketing the market and the country, they made the decision to look for prescribers or for specifiers that working together could give the support to those foreign companies that want to implement or want to introduce the product inside of the country. I don't want to delete more my presentation. I think that I've been talking about many aspects, but the most important thing is to give the opportunity to Jabja and to Disan to introduce the lighting sector itself, because they are the ones that could introduce and explain deeper the real situation the market is living in the sector. Okay, but once again, I want to say that the GCC country is but a huge opportunity for all the companies in many sectors. First, what it is need is to look inside of your company and to see if you have the product as to deal with the market, as to compete with the competitors you will find inside of the country. Which are the real added value your products or services could present to the market, because this is very important. On the contrary, you will be but a number. And then thinking that it's very important you to take the time to study, to visit, to be present, and to commercialize your product either by yourself or with a local company that will be your partner inside of the country. The Arabic people, they like to have people visiting them, talking to them, not only about business, making relations. You need to be careful in whatever you are going to talk to them, but careful from the point of view that they expect from you respect related to the country, to the religion, to the politics they have, but at the same time they expect you to give them the chance to show you that you can count on them in order to work together for the future. When talking about the lighting market, I'm going to say only a couple of things. That from all the projects, most of the time, near the 30% of the total percentage of the project is related to furniture, seats, or textiles, and then 21%, 22% is related to lighting. Lighting for indoors, outdoors, smart, LEDs, and you must think that nowadays they are also changing the laws for the energy in order to make much more smart the city itself, and also being in the same way or in the same path the environmental issues are being developing around the world. Okay, so till here I want to finish my presentation. Okay, you will see reading later on that you will have plenty of information. You have the exhibition in Dubai, lighting exhibition, but at the same time you do also have another exhibition in KSA, the COFER, in which you will go more for any kind of interiorism and architectural point of view, but lighting is one of the main steps inside of this decor fair. And for what I know, checking a little bit previous exhibitions, 2016, 2018, I saw that Italian, French companies have been participating on that exhibitions as well, okay? So I will be here and just say, go ahead, the market is a huge market. You should be smart enough as to create added values and to create needs in order to introduce your products, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Enrique, for your presentation. We will share the PowerPoint to all the members, to all the assistants, that is full of information. And right now we'll give the floor, if I'm not wrong, to Dishan, no? Isaac from the Light Middle East Fair. This is the manager. And Dishan Isaac is going to present, of course, not only the trade fair, but the market, and to give us tips regarding this special country. Thank you, Isaac.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Enrique, first of all, for your presentation. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah? Okay, great. I think Enrique pretty much covered a lot of information about the region specific. I'm going to quickly share my presentation. Before that, there's a lot of information that we have in terms of statistics. We have some statistics from 2019. There's not much has been done in 2020-21, but we are working on a very recent statistics of the lighting segment market, which will be announced in August, which will include all the pandemic numbers as well, specifically in line up with our show in September. At any point in time, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask me. If I don't have the information, I'll be more than happy to source that for you and provide it after this discussion. Just a second for me to share my. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah. So my presentation is going to cover a few points here. Some of them has already been mentioned by Enrique, but I'll go into more details about what are the opportunities here. Current market situation, travel restrictions, health and safety guidelines, lighting industry in the Middle East, market segmentations and market share. If you want to go more into details, I can give you that information. Some of the key projects in the region, who are some of the key stakeholders, then Light Middle East in specific in September, what are the planned activities that we have, what are the discussions that we are running, and what could be opportunities for you to be part of, and the 2022 proposition that we have on a bigger scale, which we've not officially launched, but I'll give you a quick update on what we are working on, so you kind of have an idea on that. So in terms of current market situation, at this point in time, from this week onwards, there's a lineup of exhibitions in Dubai already. This week, Dubai hosted the Arab Travel Market, which is the biggest hospitality and tourism exhibition here in Dubai, which was around visitors from 62 countries have participated. I was there on site myself. We've shot a small video, and we've done some interviews with some international exhibitors and the visitors who've traveled to get an idea of what they feel at the moment. And that I will share that link with all of you all by end of tomorrow. Apart from Arab travel market, there is Middle East Energy, which is happening in the next week. There's an airport show, the hotel show by the end of the month, and Arab Health, which is beginning of next month. So from this week onwards, a list of exhibitions have already started. Dubai is pushing full-fledgedly into bringing in visitors from Europe and other regions. Yesterday, there was some recent regulations that were launched by the Dubai Tourism and Commerce Marketing in terms of entertainment activities, which will be allowed with a 1 month extendable trial period starting yesterday, 17th May, which means 70% of hotel occupancy, 100% of room occupancies. Some events like gala dinners, award ceremonies will begin to happen, and with certain table restrictions of 10 people per table can be seated, provided all of them are vaccinated. So in Dubai, vaccination drive, I think about 80% of the population have at least received their first dose, and within the next few months, the vaccination rollout has been very efficient. Um, in terms of some of the updates on green countries, UAE has announced these green countries which do not need a quarantine to enter into Dubai for a period of, so they can directly enter these countries. Um, After 6 days, they need to get a PCR test done. This is at the moment, this is the current situation here. Apart from these, if there's any other countries which need a PCR test to get into, certain countries have restrictions like India and Brazil, which cannot travel to Dubai at the moment. These regulations are changing on a daily basis. To this list, Italy was just added yesterday to travel to Dubai with no quarantine restrictions. Apart from that, recent information that UAE will allow 100% foreign ownership of businesses. So there are two ways how international companies operate in the region. One is either through the distributors that are here, or with direct businesses through free zones and operate within the region. The infrastructure and construction industry is powering the Saudi Vision 2030. That's something that Enrique had mentioned, as many 14 mega projects have been announced under this development. This last year and this year, there has been normalization of ties between UAE and Qatar. In the last years, from 2016 onwards, we didn't have visitors from Qatar flying over to Dubai, but now these ties have been normalized. So we see that big benefit for Light Middle East in specific. UAE and Israel as well. So these ties have been normalized, and we expect to see some people coming from there. There's a lot of activities happening around Saudi at this point in time. In terms of an event format, we've seen that most of the events planned until October are still a bit of a challenge. After that is when Saudi is full-fledgedly planning to open their borders for international exhibitions and events to take place. The Middle East market overview. Middle East is obviously home to some of the richest countries in terms of per capita income, which is why you see UAE in specific and other countries are looking to adopt new technologies very soon. Hosting of the mega events, just World Expo and FIFA World Cup. So in terms of the smart city vision that UAE has for 2021 to become one of the smartest cities, and there's a lot of plans in order to get this in place for the Expo 2020. Dubai has also announced the 2040 Urban Master Plan for Sustainability Plan, where 60% of Dubai to be turned into nature reserves by 2040. So this was a plan that was announced very recently, and a lot of drives have been happening within that. In terms of the lighting market specific, as of today, it's expected that the lighting market is touching about $3 billion in the Middle East, and it's expected to grow at 6.5%, with major stakeholders being Saudi, of course, which occupies about 29.7% of the market share, followed by UAE, rest of Middle East at 14.5%, Qatar at 11.4%, and so on. The major segments or applications of Middle East lighting is classified into industrial, which occupies 42.3% of the lighting market, followed by commercial at 31.8%, outdoor lighting at 18.1%, and others at 7.8% of the market share. Some of the top projects in the execution stage: the NEOM, Qiddiya, Saudi Railway Program, Dubai South Mixed Use. There's plenty of projects in line. We have certain links which we can share with you to give you an idea of all the different projects that are planned, not only in UAE, but also in Saudi as well. To give you an idea, background on some of the key stakeholders within the building construction segment, starts with the governments, the project owners, the architects, consultants, the project management consultants, structural engineers, building service engineers, contractors, system integrators, suppliers, and distributors. This and there is a separate set of the designers as well, where interior designers and lighting designers, which play a key role in this region. From the government side of view, we have urban planning and development authorities, infrastructure and development authorities, municipalities, road and transport authorities, electric city and water authorities, and some of the developers as well. From the specifier side, I've just given a quick idea of some of the top stakeholders in terms of the architects, consultants, construction segments, contractors. We have more information on some of the design studios as well, which operate within the region. This is to give you an idea of these are the top stakeholders here occupying majority of the projects within the region. In terms of the standardization bodies, these are the bodies which play a key role in standardization for the electrical engineering side of the business and lighting. The main one is the Gulf Standardization Organization, which represents the whole of GCC. And each of the countries have their own standardization bodies. For UAE, it's ESMA, Emirates Authority for Standardization and Metrology. They refer to mostly European standards from the IEN and IEC. Saudi Arabia has SASO, Bahrain has Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Tourism, Kuwait has Kuwait Standards, Oman Directorate for General and Specific Specification and Measurement. In terms of a local lighting association, the Middle East Lighting Association has been in the region for quite some time, and they represent a board of manufacturers and work very closely with the governments in terms of setting regulations for the region. And we work very closely with MELA as well as the Lighting Institute, which is on the design side of the aspect, which is headed by Walid Fakusa. I think Mark mentioned that earlier on. We work very closely with them in terms of the architectural lighting and the design aspects of what is required for the region. In terms of Light Middle East is scheduled to take place from the 28th to 30th of September 2021. This is a great value proposition for attendees, visitors, and exhibitors, mainly because with the number of changes that have happened in the last 1 to 2 years, it's important for the industry to connect, reconnect, and be a part of it. A lot of people have changed jobs, moved to different companies. A lot of new companies have come to the market. A lot of new design studios, lighting design studios have launched in the region. So it's an important networking place, and it's happening during the same week of the Expo 2020, right after the Light Middle East closes. The next day is the opening of the Expo 2020. So it's a great date and time frame that we've got to bring all of the industries together. What will Light Middle East represent? Light Middle East represents the technical lighting and accessories, decorative lighting, electrical and components, a small segment of home and building automation, electric lamps, cables and leads, routing and distribution and joining materials. We are actually working on a specific segment of developing the home and building automation segment to intelligent buildings. In the region, lighting has changed in such a way, or globally, from lighting as a fixture to lighting as a service. More so, we are exploring a lot of possibilities of how lighting can be incorporated into a solution, along with all the other systems. For example, the security systems, AV systems, retrofits, and those kind of things, and how audiovisual, how each of these systems work together in promoting the efficiency of a building. So we are working with the government, some of the governments here, in collaboration and expanding our exhibition portfolio to have all of these segments in place. Apart from just Light Middle East, we also host other exhibitions like Intersect, which is one of the region's leading security and fire safety exhibition. Our plan is in 2022, which I'll cover in the upcoming slides, to give you an overview of where Light Middle East will be heading, not only in Dubai, but also in Saudi. To give you an idea of how an overview of our exhibitors, 30% of our exhibitors are from the Middle East. These include majority of the distributors, which represent manufacturers. So there are two ways of how things work. Manufacturers either have exclusive distributors in the region, or they work on a project basis where they work with multiple distributors here in order to work on these products. 38% of our exhibitors are from Europe, and 30% of our exhibitors are from Asia. For this year specifically, we will be only seeing exhibitors from Europe and Middle East. Exhibitors from Asia will not be participating in Light Middle East, mainly due to the travel restrictions that they have towards their country. So we are expecting about 120 to 150 exhibitors, mainly revolving around Europe and Middle East, with the top country pavilions including Germany, UK, Portugal, and Italy. From visitors' point of view, 73% of our visitors which attend Light Middle East are from the UAE. And the second highest visiting country is Saudi, which occupies about 600 to 700 attendees, which come over to Dubai from Saudi. Apart from that, we have the top 10 countries by visitors: UAE, Saudi, Kuwait, China, Oman, India, Bahrain, Italy, UK, and Lebanon. From the business sector's point of view, you can see that 26% of our attendees represent the services segment, which means engineering and planning offices, design studios, architects, system integrators. So mainly Light Middle East is seen as a specifiers show, where all of these key specifiers visit Light Middle East, and 47% of the business of the Arab visitors are into the wholesale trade and distribution markets. So we tap into both the segments, those manufacturers looking to find new distributors, not just in UAE, but GCC and North Africa as well. Around 47% of our visitors cover that segment of trade, and those looking into getting to the architectural, lighting, design, and projects market, around 26% of our visitors represent that segment. This gives you a key, an idea of some of our key visitors, which represent distributors from the education sectors, from universities, some of them who've attended, some of the top consultants, some of the top corporate companies, governments, architecture, hospitality and entertainment segment, the facility management side, industrial and transport infrastructure, some of the top retail chains who've been visiting, engineering side, contracting, design, real estate, and developers. There's more information on this available in detail, and I'm more than happy to send it across later on. Some of the key opportunities at Light Middle East, what we focus or what we revolve around this year. Our most important thing is ThinkLight. ThinkLight is our education platform where we involve all of the key stakeholders. And for this year, it revolves around 8 new sessions or panel discussions on sustainability, energy efficiency, and net zero buildings, exterior public realm and landscape, which is facade lighting, which is one of the key segments here in the region. Most of them are focusing on the facade lighting segments, transport and infrastructure, which also includes solar lighting, which is a key focus from some of the governments, Abu Dhabi municipalities specifically focusing on outdoor solar lighting and smart street lighting, emergency lighting, commercial, which includes retail, offices, F&B. So in a nutshell, this will be a great opportunity because ThinkLight is going to be classified into 2 segments. One is a series of webinars, which will start from mid of July and go up to second week of September, with the main physical conference platform happening during the main exhibition. So this gives an idea of, we will update and have our list of registrations for all of these webinars available from beginning of June. So anyone can attend all of these sessions. The sessions will be represented by governments, consultants, developers, designers, and some of the key manufacturers working. So it gives you an idea for each of those segments what the Middle East market is about, what are we focusing on, what are the current challenges, and some of the key projects. So this could be a very good opportunity for anyone to attend, to know more about each of these specific segments. These are some of the testimonials that we got from some of our webinars. Our webinars mainly are not presentation formats. They're more of discussions, which talks about what is happening in the Middle East from the different stakeholders' point of view. And that we've had for each of our webinar about 59 minutes of engagement rate, which is quite high for this particular region. At the exhibition, we also have something called as a premium club, which hosts some of the key buyers from the region in terms of roundtable discussions, which will be hosted by the Lighting Institute. It gives an opportunity for visitors and some of our exhibitors to have access to these areas. Apart from this, we are putting together something called as a lighting guide to Dubai. We are working with an association from UK, that is Light Collective, who are also the founders of the Women in Lighting, which have ambassadors in 60 countries globally. They will be working together with some of the top designers in the region, identifying what are the top lighting spots to visit during their time in September for the show and for the expo. So it'll be released on our website and our social media platforms. So any visitors internationally who are coming down to Dubai will get an idea of these are the top 10 places must visits for you to see and experience Dubai and UAE in full. Last thing that we do is the Light Middle East Awards. The Light Middle East Awards is a showcase of some of the top projects that have been completed in the region. This year, it'll host about 200 to 250 people. Mainly designers, developers, and architects, and has about 13 different segments, verticals, where designers submit their projects that have completed in 2020 and 2021. It'll give you an overview of what are the projects, who are the key stakeholders involved, and it's a great. It's the one of the biggest conclusion to the Light Middle East event, with all of the key people being part of this networking event. Apart from this, Light Middle East will also happen on a hybrid format. Not only the physical exhibition, but also it'll have an own event platform, opportunity for those who are not able to travel to be part of all of our webinar discussions, networking activities as well, and which will be announced within the next 1 week or so. This will have the Light Middle East application platform and gives access for each of the visitors to be part of the discussions and network with key stakeholders. In terms of Light Middle East 2022 proposition, we are in talks with some of the government bodies and the regulatory bodies in Saudi, and we are in discussions to put together an exhibition in September 2022. Exact dates to be confirmed. The exhibition will be a collaboration between Light Middle East, Intelligent Buildings, which is a new concept that we are launching, ProLight and Sound, mainly covering the live events side of the business, which is very active in Saudi Arabia, and Intersect. So this will come with a collaboration with some of the key segments from lighting, security, AV, access control, electrical and engineering side of the business. And we're planning to launch this in September 2022. All information regarding the launch in Saudi will be announced during Light Middle East this year. And then the show in Saudi will focus purely on the opportunities and within Saudi Arabia, bringing in key stakeholders from there. And the Dubai event will focus mainly around the Middle East and North Africa regions, bringing visitors from those segments as well. I can only give you this information at the moment because we haven't full-fledgedly confirmed this. Once this is confirmed, we will be able to share those information with you. So that's my presentation in a nutshell. Thank you, everyone. In case you have any questions, feel free to liaise with me if you want more specific information about anything. I'll be more than happy to send you all of those information.
Thank you very much, Isaac, for your presentation. Really interesting and extensive. You are actually actually, even if the question and answer are later, I will just a very quick question to you, because you already show the data of the visitor and your expectation, the visitors of 2019. So we know that the situation is changed. Which are the forecast for 2021, and what the fair and the market expect to receive in order to visitor, and also regarding I mean you are very a very good position to know what is moving in the lighting market in Dubai. So, what do you consider that are the niches of the market that they are growing?
See, in terms of the exhibition and visitors, since Light Middle East is mainly focusing around Middle East, around 85% of our attendees, visitors, are from GCC and North Africa. There's not many travel restrictions within these countries here, so we don't expect visitor numbers to drop down from these countries. Our biggest challenge is with our exhibitors. Although right now things are beginning to pick up, what we forecast to see is the only areas that are going to be affected for us is Asia, in terms of the pavilions that we used to have. That is what is massively affected. In terms of Europe and Middle East, we are only seeing a 10% decrease in comparison to 2019 from the exhibitor numbers. Although we have new regions, like say for example Russia, we have more exhibitors than what we had in 2019, and there are more new exhibitors entering into the market. So we are in a decent position at the moment. I can share with you some statistics on what we are at currently, and in terms of each and every country where we are. For example, even from Spain, just to give you an example, we have already about 4 to 5 exhibitors already confirmed. And last year we had about 8 exhibitors from Spain. So we are in a good track, and we see that by September things will get better. In terms of also visitors, in the last 2 years, there's not many lighting events that have happened since the last Light and Build exhibitions, and even specifically to the Middle East as well. So there's with the number of changes, when we speak on a daily basis, a lot of different design studios or facility management companies, electrical engineers, a lot of them have moved, and it's everyone wants to be back. Although in Dubai it doesn't feel like a pandemic at the moment, but it all depends on how you are from different countries. It's an emotion thing. So all we can say is that we are optimistic, and we can see from each of the discussions that we have. We have regular webinar discussions, and we talk to our people, and we see the confidence from there. A number of surveys that we do, who is going to be attending the exhibition. So we are quite confident in terms of producing at least a quality exhibition, and in terms of the visitors who will be traveling over to Dubai at that time, unless there is any drastic changes that are going to happen within the next few months, which we cannot foresee, of course.
Thank you. Okay, I understand. Okay, so it's 1:30. So if you agree, we leave the question and answer after the speech of Yaya Mawau. I can pronounce it. I can.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I will take it from there. I would like to thank Enrique and Dishant for their presentations. I don't think that I will be adding too much to what have been presented so far, except that I'm coming from the distribution and supply point of view. I can say, let me share my screen first.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you can.
Can I help you?
No, it's fine, but just like I'm getting some troubles sharing the screen. I will try to do it from the.
If you want, you can send to me. I can share to all of
Yeah,
us.
I think I'm gonna try to send it to.
To me, not to Enrique, because also is not able to do.
Oh my god.
In the meantime, just for
I don't know if you can still see me.
no, no.
Yeah, because
we can't.
Yeah, suddenly I lost control of Teams as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you can do, you can go out and enter again.
Yeah.
And what we can, just for save some times, if you all agree, if you have some question to Enrique and to Dishan from El Khalif or Cluster Room here, we can open like a 5 minute of a question.
Yes, I have. Is it possible to participate in the fair as in a common area as cluster and with the different kind of items from classical to technical, or do you share the companies based on their products?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? Is it possible to participate in the event as a cluster? When you
Yeah,
say
in a common
participate, you want
area
to visit?
with some companies together in a common area, and even if they have different kind of products, I mean from classical decorative one or technical, and if
Yeah,
it is
absolutely. If we can have a dedicated area where you can represent a few brands, the most important thing is not about the participation where you represent different brands. It's about the information about each of these brands that you represent, which we will market, so the right kind of audience comes to your stand. So that's the most important part. But yes, we have ways where you can participate in with a dedicated area for and represent different brands. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I'm back online.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay. So basically, as I said before, I'm gonna be presenting from the distribution and supply point of view, starting first by a general introduction of me working in the region in GCC, living for almost 5 years in Saudi Arabia, and another 7 years in UAE, particularly in Dubai, moving around to Oman, visiting Qatar, visiting other cities also within the region. Basically, I worked for the 5 main lighting distributors in the region, in Middle East and the region. And what I can say is that the development I have experienced in UAE, particularly in the lighting business, is very significant. I will start by telling you about living in UAE, because it has been a pleasure experiencing also the dynamic interaction and update of the whole lifestyle within the UAE, starting by the visions that the UAE leaders have, who from time to time, I think everybody is hearing in the news of the newly introduced laws allowing people and expats to live comfortably in UAE despite all the challenges, whether financial, commercial, or even cultural challenges that one might experience living in the GCC region and in an Islamic country. So I will leave this point open for you guys to go and explore more about the changes in laws that are recently happening, mentioning only one of them, that the co-location in UAE has been allowed, which is a huge step comparing to what previously people had in mind about the region. I will move to the recent lighting related events in the UAE, where I will mention that despite the COVID-19, 2.7 billion dirhams, which is approximately 600 million euros of UAE LED lights market have been achieved in 2020. And we are expecting a growth of 10 to 12% in the upcoming years from 2021 to 2026. I will focus now on mentioning that in 2016, a nationwide campaign called I Led the Way was launched by the Emirates Authority Standardization and Meteorology, ESMA, Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank, and Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, which is DEWA, known as DEWA here. This was a 12-month eco program aimed towards organizing community engagement, awareness campaigns, and green initiatives. The region and the country is evaluating the projects now in the LEED norms, and many projects have been selected to be LEED Platinum projects, recently as the DEWA headquarter project, which is a huge project with lots of latest technologies involved in this project. In 2018, Dubai Roads and Transportation Authority, RTA, collaborated with the Netherlands-based LED lighting solution provider, which is Philips, to launch something called the Intelligent Cycling Track and Pedestrian Lighting System in Jumeirah Corniche. In 2018 as well, a UAE-based real estate developer, which is Dubai Properties, has launched the energy efficiency retrofit solution to reduce the cost at Business Bay Executive Towers. And this led to many LED lighting manufacturers becoming involved in doing retrofit projects. About nearly 16,000 lights have been delivered. In 2019, Ras Al Khaimah presented or signed a contract with a UAE-based efficiency solution provider, Smart4Power, to introduce a retrofit project as well. The reason I'm mentioning this event is to highlight the importance of reducing power consumption in the area in UAE, and the opportunity that despite the pandemic and despite the financial limitations that might result from the worldwide force majeure, there are always ways to produce business in the region. Abu Dhabi have never stopped developing and launching projects. Dubai, after the Expo 2020 being delayed, and that it will take place in October 2021, they have launched the Legacy project, which is the next step after the Expo 2020 and the development that will happen here. The region also has showed and proved their power and capabilities in logistics and being a hub linking the western side of the world to the eastern side of the world. They have decentralized their services, their ports and services. We have recently seen a project, the new concourse of Dubai Airport, that was able to host a 50 million passenger and visitor with an extra 33 A380 aircrafts. This is beside another airport that have been created in the south of Dubai, which is Al Maktoum Airport. All these capabilities are providing to the investors and to the manufacturers an ease to reroute their chain of supply to the GCC area and from the far east areas to get the raw materials as well. So UAE and Dubai became the center of the world in order to exchange the material from and to the Western Europe and Western side of the world. I want to add that recently I want to divide the lighting into three segments, which is the design first, the supply, and the execution. Usually the main business for the past years was GCC was a player into the supply. The design used to happen from the firms in Europe and in USA. However, in the last 4 or 5 years, we have experienced lighting designers and architects, and beside interior designers as well, opening their local office in the UAE. Using this, it helped them also getting hold of the opportunities that are happening not only in the GCC areas. The huge development that happened recently in Egypt, for example, and mainly in the North Africa, like Algeria and other regions, Morocco as well, has used all the power and skills of the UAE lighting design offices. And I can see many of these projects have been assigned to these offices. I will avoid naming the companies who are involved in order not to miss anyone. But also I want to add that the new vision that's happening in Saudi Arabia has been worked out from UAE lighting designers as well, who have been heavily involved in design of the new areas in Red Sea development. Beside that, I would like to mention about the supply. I have seen throughout my career many medium-sized and small-sized lighting manufacturers growing towards becoming a worldwide actor and manufacturer. Their profile and portfolio, their lighting supply chain portfolio increased a lot, from being, for example, a supplier of downlights only towards supplying landscape, outdoor, indoor lights, LED strips, and this was due to the large-scale projects that they have been involved in Saudi Arabia and UAE. With such large-scale project, huge experience will come. Remember that on a very dynamic and very quick execution manner in these regions, it comes with a huge benefits of getting a large experience over achieving projects on time, and this is became like a kind of a proof of achieving projects on time in the region. And it became a challenge, which is not a culture, a normal culture for other places in the world, that sometimes you need to create new solutions in order to abide to the constraints that are here introduced in Saudi Arabia and in UAE. Finally, coming to the execution side, the expertise in UAE are much better than other regions. However, in the last years, we have seen that many firms that have been introduced from Dishan, I'm speaking here about the contractors, have developed their skills in a way that they became able to deliver high quality executed projects within very short time limits. Some of the projects I want to highlight are, for example, the Guggenheim Museum that is happening in 2022. And this is one of the major projects that might be significant in the UAE and Abu Dhabi recently. And for the manufacturers who feel that the long-term projects or large-scale projects will not be profitable for them in the short time, I can assure to all of you guys that the private sector business, which is considered as a small-size project, from villas or retail shops or other commercial apartments or buildings, is can reach a size of 2 million dirhams, which is considered like a small project in UAE and the region. However, I can understand that it can be considerably a very large project for some of the European manufacturers. Moving towards the work and the involvement of UAE investors, I can tell you that I am currently working on a project in Serbia, in Belgrade, that is also by an investment from a UAE developer. This shows that being present in the UAE gave me access not only to work on the projects in the region, but also to cover some developments that are happening in Europe, in the heart of Europe, and become a strong tenderer in that region as well. The large scale, as I said, the large scale project provided a huge experience to the people working in the UAE that allows them to work also abroad in project, not only in the Middle East, but also in Europe as well. Finally, this should cover some project developments and creating business opportunities. I will add up to the free zone access for the foreign firms and manufacturers. It is now also allowed in the UAE to have a mainland trade license without having a sponsor. So you can own your own mainland trade license. The only difference from having it in a free zone area is that there are some extra investment that one needs to take, such as renting an office space, and these things. However, sky is the limit. The regulations and norms that have been followed in UAE are following the latest technologies. I can mention that now many projects are, and landscape projects, facade and landscape projects are following the dark sky norms, which is becoming very important in our region. And again, I want to mention and highlight the importance of having a LEED and green buildings in the area in order to nominate UAE and the region as one of the highest efficiency areas. I will not talk further than that. I will leave it to you guys to interact more, to speak more, and to ask more. If you want also, you can get my details through Enrique to understand better about living in UAE. I was sad to hear that Mark had a bad experience here when he mentioned that he needs a lawyer. Trust me, through some contacts and some friends here that you can make easily in UAE, people are very friendly, people are very helpful. You don't need anything. Just you need to open your heart and open your communication, and everyone here is ready to help. Everyone here is welcoming. People are normalizing their relationships here without conflicts. UAE became a conflict-free country that we can visit and welcome any visitor to the area. So again, I want to mention and highlight, guys, it's a one-word area, and we are becoming just in a limit-free word. Border-free, sorry. Border-free word.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your really interesting presentation and overview of the market. That is a very huge opportunity. I just want to start another session on question and answer with a quick question to you, but also to Enrique, that they know quite well the market, and to Isaac, regarding the manufacturer company related to the lighting sector. They are really worried about their barrier of entry in the market. And one of this barrier is related to the certification. We know that in the lighting sector, they need a SAXO for Saudi Arabia, but how important is right now to get the certification for sell the product or for distribute the product in the GCC country? Maybe Iya or...
Let me help you with that. There are so many ways and business models that a manufacturer can introduce his products into the region. This is why we have local distributors, where whenever the opportunity comes, a local distributor can help a lot achieving and finalizing the approvals and the SASO approvals. This is why a manufacturer sometimes, unless he wants to be present by himself in the area and directly distribute to the project, then he has to invest one time in abiding to all the rules and regulations. And this is something very important. The main issues is to have to understand that in UAE, in the GCC area, we work on different standards and different temperatures. So basically, they need to do the right testings for their products in order to abide this. And it's very important to highlight that safety measures are very important here, especially for products that are installed outdoors. So these test certificates will help not only the manufacturer to dispute their products in the region, but to make sure of how can their products be valid to be used in harsh conditions in the area. So again, I recommend that manufacturers who are having troubles getting approvals to get in touch with the local distributors I will not mention any. I am one of them, but I will not mention any. Because there are so many ready to help, finally, when your product also is designed in a way that attracts the clients, it will allow to reduce all the struggles and steps in towards taking approvals. So this is something that will be easily solved. There is no rocket science, and we are finally selling lighting, so it's not like rocket science. Everything can be approved.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know, Marta, Alberto, Antonella, Mari, you have some question?
I don't have any question. I just want to thank everybody for the presentations. And just for information, I worked in Dubai for a couple of years back and forth, so I know the region very well. And my parents are originally Lebanese, so I speak Arabic as well. So I know that it's a region full of wonderful opportunities, and I'm sure that there's a lot to do in the future. But I think also the question was actually asked because one of our members asked for the being able to get a certificate to to sell her products in the UAE, and she said she had a very difficult time to do that. So I guess you answered that question, but that's one of the questions I was going to actually ask.
Yeah. Laura,
okay.
Olga.
Let me add another idea of a business model that one manufacturer or many can present here in the region is by having a representing agent. So there are some business models of companies who just represent the manufacturers without distributing their products to do the marketing and to do the link of discussion between these several manufacturers and the local distributors. So finally, the orders and the money transactions happens directly between the distributor and the manufacturer. However, the on-site project follow-up, the after-sales support, the before-sales support as well can happen to this agent who just receives commissions on the sales that are happening. So his role is purely marketing and on-site support.
And he will be the one that provides their certificate or their certified for the product to be manufactured, but to be distributed in the region.
Right. They will be the one who do the submissions of all the documents and who do all the transactions, all these requirements. They will provide to you what are the requirements needed. They will follow up within the local government authorities in order for you to have finally a certificate that says that yes, I got the SASO, I got the QC certified, the QAD QC, like in Abu Dhabi. So yes, I want to highlight also something very important, since the audience are from European manufacturers mainly. I don't know if there is someone from the US also attending, but I want to highlight something that the region is luckily maintaining a high quality product distribution. So basically, I would like to, in case you heard any rumor that the market is going towards a low quality and cheap product, this is not true. We are able to sell very expensive products in the region. Allow me here to mention some of the brands that are known for the quality of lighting, like Erco, like Bega. These products are available everywhere in Saudi Arabia and in UAE. If these firms did not have any struggles delivering their products here, I don't think any other manufacturer will have these problems.
Okay, thank you, Yahya.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to add one point related to the bureaucracy we live in UAE, you know, because this is a problem of bureaucracy. Sometimes we are not talking about that the certification of the documents or whatever. It takes time. It takes time because, for instance, if you want to employ one person, you need a PR that will go to different places inside of the country in order to check all the aspects related to the contract you are going to make to this. The problem is that the bureaucracy is so tough, let's see, okay, that in many cases, if you are living in Italy, Spain, France, or whatever the country is, and then you want to try to get all these certifications from outside of the country, the problem will grow much more than it is really, you know. So that's why I agree with Jaja saying that it is need to have someone that will support you, not only from the commercial point of view, but for all those aspects related to the need of having this kind of internal problems resolved. This is my position.
Yeah. May I ask a question?
Sure. Sure.
Yes. We talk very much about products. I would like to talk a bit more about services. Every time I've been to Dubai, I noticed, and I don't know, I would like to have your confirmation, that the engineering and design firms were very much Anglo-American there. And we try to see the room we could have for lighting, design, engineering on our side, right? What would be your vision and recommendation to enter this market, not through product, but through design and engineering?
Yes. Do you want to say something, Jaja, or I go ahead? Or Dishan,
you can
I
start.
can give an idea
You can
as well.
start. Yeah,
No,
Dishan also
Yeah.
can give.
Yeah, there's actually few things that we can mention, not just to the question that Mark mentioned or the previous one as well. Yes, Mark, you're right that most of the design studios here in the region are Anglo-American. Some of them are even European as well. Most of the European design firms work, let's say, from either from Germany or Spain. They work from there directly here. They don't have physical offices. But in terms of setting up design studios here, we have seen that slowly there are design studios setting up in the region. There are different levels or tiers. If you see design, when I say lighting design, I think it accounts to about 5 to 7% of the lighting projects here in the region. Most of them either happen directly through contractors and distributors. Some of them go through design, interior design, and lighting design studios. But that's something that we are seeing slowly change. And one of the main driving factors behind that is with setting up of certain institutions, like the work with the Lighting Institute to promote lighting design into the region. So that is something that we as a platform here in the region have been actively working on, even together with partnerships with the Lighting Institute and MELA, which serves more into the regulation fronts, Lighting Institute being into the design side of the business, but kind of represent an association and at least have an association here in the region which represents the design and engineering side. That's a work in progress, but there are ways where new studios are coming into the picture. Yes, it is definitely a possibility.
I would like to add to Dishan because there is an idea that have been spread that most of the designers are Anglo-American. We are speaking about lighting designers because I see so many Italian interior designers, Spanish interior designers, and architects. So only when it comes to lighting design, probably this is not. This is because of the firms that have been created previously and became worldwide known. That's why it happened like this. However, the Lighting Institute, as you mentioned, is helping to have a locally present lighting designer becomes a player more than anyone else in the region. So so the area and the market is open to everyone. Fairs and events such as Light Middle East, as Index, and others will give the designers opportunity to meet and interact with architects and end users, then I invite you to frequently attend these events. And that way, this is how you generate your business opportunities. We are also locally present, also in case we have any request or query for a design, which a distributor doesn't is not part of his activities, he will forward it to a lighting designer that he knows or like he worked with before. So I don't see any struggles in that part, and there is no restrictions on any country to be involved and to have a market share here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know, last but not least, Olga, here's a question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a question related to COVID, the pandemic, and which are the main challenges do you think the lighting sector will have to face in the following years?
If there is
Very difficult question.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Maybe
know.
I can touch
I
upon a
wish to
couple
have,
of
I wish
points.
to have. I don't know.
The only things that have changed for a short period of time is I think during the COVID, a lot of them started making Zoom presentations rather than meeting people face to face. But that is already changed here in the region. What we see is a certain element of digital is become very important. Although face to face meetings is back, but the only outcomes of COVID is most of the manufacturers or any segments are focusing a bunch of their marketing budget into digital activities. So I think that's the only outcome from COVID. Apart from that, everyone wants to be face to face back. Maybe small brochures here and there, and for initial connections, they use digital platforms. But I think to put together your complete value proposition, the absolute face-to-face meetings is required. I just wanted to add to the previous question that was asked by Mary, I think, and which mentioned about Yaya. As Light Middle East, we see not only distributors, but projects of different scales and sizes, right from manufacturers from China up to the top quality brands like Beggars being specified into projects. So I'm not saying that only these are the ones that being specified. There are different, we have visitors or buyers who come for the smallest of smallest projects where they need low quality or low priced lighting fixtures to the highest end of projects. And even in terms of distributors, there are maybe 5, 6, 7 top distributors in the region. They all have their specific area of expertise. Some of them are very well known in the retail side. Some of them are very well known in the outdoor landscape, public realm segment. Some of them for hospitality. It all boils down to the manufacturers, where they choose different options. Either if they're not able to full-fledgedly have an office, a local office here, some of them choose to have local representatives. Some of them have their export area managers within their respective countries to deal with distributors or directly. And even when it comes to dealing with distributors, some of them have exclusive partnerships with distributors. Some of them work on project basis. So when we see a lot of new manufacturers entering, they ask us plenty of questions, because normally they are approached by many distributors of different levels, some of the top ones, some of the mid-level ones, some of the other ones, not just from UAE, but from all of GCC and North Africa as well. So it's on a case-to-case basis. In some cases, some of them, like Yaya mentioned, that obviously Sign Technique does help with certifications, but that may not be the case with others, right? So it depends on distributors or distributor cases as well, case-to-case basis. So it's really up to a manufacturer to find the right partner for the right project. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess she was contacted by the wrong distributor by telling her he cannot provide her with certification.
There's nothing right or wrong, Mary. It's just about someone is good at this, someone is good at that. It's about how much involved you are in. That's why someone leaves being just having an export manager into having a dedicated representative here. If certain things are not achieved, the more they want, then they set up a representative office here in the region. So it's about how much you want to tap into this region. The opportunities are there, and it's.
What she said is that she doesn't want to go to the region because she already contacted by different distributors, and they told her that she would not be able to have a certification to distribute her product in the UAE. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Maybe she was.
Let me add one thing. They just don't want to sell her products.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe she was approached by the wrong distributor. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the follow-up is very important in that market. That's the problem. And then if you do have one representative that is not willing to work, is not ready to work, is not ready to move within the market itself, for sure it will not happen what you are telling me or telling us about the situation this company live. The problem is that you should be passive, but at the same time you should work hardly and deeply in the market, and then you will get it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you very much for your insight. Yeah.
I would like to highlight one thing, because also we spoke a lot about the products and we did not give enough time for the engineering and design. I would invite the lighting designer not only to focus on the concept designs in the area, but also be involved in product design. Being involved in product design will help them become a player in the material and the product use as well. So the design does not limit them only to the conceptual and the final effect. This is from one side. Answering the COVID-19, I see a positive side as well, where the manufacturers had the new challenges developing products with sanitization, with area sanitization, products that deliver UV light. So I see this is the normal. We are human, and we are living in a world where we are polluting it, and then finding the solution for the pollutions we have created. So this is all normal. This is part of us living on Earth. Hopefully, we will think more of preserving our Earth and our planet instead of damaging it, and everything will be sorted out. So we don't need to worry about future pandemics.
Thank you very much. I think the time is over. Thank you to all the speakers for this very interesting webinar. We hope next time to do it presentially, not virtually. And thank you to ELCA, Cluster Lumiere e Rete Luce in Veneto for joining us. And see you tomorrow with our consortium, and see you soon to all the partner speakers. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Ciao.
Yeah.